Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Beyond Moon, the Crypto Wealth Series. Today, I have the good fortune of having a conversation with a 28-year-old man, an investor who I came across in Twitter. I'm talking about Intelligent XRP, who also has a YouTube channel where he's putting out some crypto content and things of that nature. But we go through this conversation, and it is very clear to me that here's this young man who has the investor mindset. He's going to describe his process. And of course, because I can't help myself, I chime in with a few things to think about and things to consider. I think it's a pretty engaging conversation. I'm very glad that I had it. And for you folks that are in his age demographic, I think there's a thing or two you could learn from him. He's actually doing a wonderful job of creating a good life for himself today while preparing to be monsterly successful and wealthy in later years. Let me get you right to that conversation. It's right now. So Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to sit here with me today. How are things going where you are?
Going really well. Thank you for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I came across you on Twitter and I just thought it was incredible that here is this young man who is like, well, number one, you're contributing in the community, which I think is incredible. And you were talking about kind of an investment strategy you had. And I thought to myself, for somebody in your demographic to kind of have the high level thinking around investment strategy that you had, I really wanted to have a conversation with you. And part of my Beyond Moon series is exactly that. As a community, how can we interact with each other so that we become better investors? So with that said, let's start at the beginning real quick, because, you know, obviously you're a member of the community and this is an opportunity for folks in the community to get, you know, a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. What is it that brought you to crypto and inspires you to like share your thoughts and what you're thinking about on Twitter?
So I've been interested in investing for a long time. I was learning about not so much different strategies, but different ways of thinking when it came to the stock market. When I learned about decentralized applications, I was actually in the middle of a coding boot camp, and we were building web applications. And I stumbled across something called Ethereum, and I already knew about Bitcoin, but really didn't think much of it at the time. I didn't think much of it when I first heard about Bitcoin in 2009, because I really didn't understand at the time that it was a potential investment, or even really that it was a currency. But when I learned about what Ethereum was doing, I realized this is going to change the world. And I thought at the time, like, this is going to be the next Bitcoin. So yeah, I remember Bitcoin being less than $1. And at the time when I was looking into Ethereum, I think Bitcoin was about $1,000, which I thought was incredibly overvalued. And I thought we were gonna watch it come crashing down. And I thought we were gonna see Ethereum go above and beyond where Bitcoin was at the time. A few months later is when I discovered XRP. And when I started learning about XRP, everything clicked for me. Everything that I had learned about investing when it comes to studying the companies, studying the people behind the companies, the partnerships that they're making, their ultimate goal. And I realized this is a real company. And of course, I can't invest in the company Ripple, but the currency XRP is how they're going to make their money. And that's my opportunity to help them and help myself along the way.
Wow. So you at your roots, you have an understanding of how to, well, discern value. So if you're looking at a project, you're looking at the management team, you're looking at the associations that they have and the partnerships that they have. Do they actually have a product that's in play, or is it a concept?
Mm-hmm.
And so these are some of the things that you used to discern your quote unquote decision or thesis on actually, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put some real money into this thing.
Right.
That's correct. Okay, well, geez, where did you learn that? Because they don't teach this in school.
No. I started getting interested in investing probably around the age of 23 to 25, and because that was the first time in my life that I was able to earn extra income and not be living paycheck to paycheck. At the time, I was working at a grocery store, quickly moved my way up into a management position, still refused to buy a car. I was walking a block to work every day and just saving, like half of everything that I earned. The first half went to basic uh, life expenses, and everything else I was looking for, where am I going to put this where it's going to grow? Because I know that if I just leave this in a savings account, I'm actually going to lose 2.5% of that every year. That's a guaranteed way to make a loss every single year and compound it against me. So I started reading Tony Robbins. I started reading Napoleon Hill. Anything that caught my eye on investing, and eventually I became very obsessed with Warren Buffett's life, and I read multiple biographies on him, and decided that I'm going to basically aim to be as much like him as I can, because if I get even 1,000th of his success, I'm gonna, be a decamillionaire.
Well, I'll tell you, you can't go wrong with a role model like that in the world of investing. Now, obviously, the environment that he grew up in and made his fortune in, we couldn't be any farther away from
Right.
the fundamentals of the market today than that they were back then. However, for somebody who has the time horizon ahead of him that you do, to be implementing strategies and thoughts pertaining to buying value and allowing the time that you have to have that value compound upon itself,
Yeah.
is really, I mean, I'll be honest, when I was at your age, I was, you know, counting the pennies in the paycheck and spending them and chasing girls and concerned about playing softball at night, and saving or investing for my future was not a priority. Let's just put it that way. And to know here's this fine young man that's doing this. I hope, I'm curious, of your friends in your age group,
Mm-hmm.
how many of your friends are doing things similar to yourself, thinking forward, implementing some of these strategies?
No one really. I unfortunately don't know a lot of older people who are doing this. Um,
That's true also.
I don't. No, I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
most
Go ahead.
people most people my age, they're concerned about getting the latest iPhone and leasing the most expensive car that they can afford, but they can't really afford these things. They're financing them all. And they're not concerned with tomorrow. And I don't know, maybe a few people that I know in my life around my age have looked up to me and my wife and what we're doing, and they've decided, okay, we can buy a house too because they did it, but they don't understand what we did before we were at that before we were in that position.
No, I'll tell you what, I grew up with, in this was the prevailing sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
Get a job that has benefits, contribute to a 401k,
Right.
buy a house. save money. That was kind of the extent or the playbook that I was given, coming out of high school and going through college and coming out of college. And I will tell you, as I review those strategies today, they seem to be, well, they're kind of losing strategies. You know what I mean? You talked about not having a car. And the investor mindset today should be, because of the system we're in, don't deal with depreciating assets.
Right.
If you don't need it to pay the bills today, have it in an appreciating asset, right? And taking loans and getting leases for the nice hot new car and all that stuff can feed your ego and the persona that you're trying to create, but it's not going to ever create any wealth, ever.
No.
It's matter of fact, it works. It's the antithesis. It's the antagonist of wealth building.
Well, I'm 28 years old, and I just bought my first car 2 months ago, for $6,000 in cash, because I'm not going to pay, a car note, and I don't care about it being fancy. It's a 2009 Toyota, which is, safe and reliable. And I actually got a really great deal on it because it only has 30,000 miles. So.
No, I totally hear you, man. You said you bought a house. Now, do you mind? I'm going to ask we're going to dig in a little bit deeper here. So you bought a house in a market that is extremely inflated relative to the market of old. So go back 5 years, 10 years, that very same structure, the dollars that it sold for. And if you discount for inflation, but not appreciation of real estate prices, there's an offset there, right? So I'm curious, I'm assuming you got a mortgage.
Yes.
All right, so now all of a sudden, and does the state that you live in allow you to deduct mortgage interest off of your income?
No.
Okay, I didn't think, because a lot of states have changed in the last couple of years. If used to be, if you got a mortgage, you could write off your interest that you were paying on the loan. So at least there was some offset to your income tax liability. Not so much the case anymore. So you have you bought an asset in an inflated market, and you took a note against the house. Now you probably get a good rate, or what you feel is a good rate. Do you mind sharing?
It's not great. May refinance down the road, but it's 5.25%.
That's not atrocious 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Is it 30-year fixed or some exotic product?
No, it's a 30-year fixed.
Through FHA?
What is FHA?
Federal Housing Authority. So if the answer is no, if you don't, you would know. If you were in an FHA loan for your house, you're between your real estate agent and your mortgage lender, broker, dealer, bank, whoever did it for you, whoever underwrote that paper, they hammer it into your head because there's special conditions around FHA stuff. It's one of the safest though to be in, because you're not going to get foreclosed upon if you have any issues, and it's got all kinds of protections and things of that nature. But anyway, so you're in the home, and you consider the home an investment, or is the home a way to try to just not be a renter?
No, it's an investment.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of that seems to be changing. Homes aren't the investment they used to be, because you have to have appreciation for it to be in the right. If it doesn't have any appreciation, or if it depreciates in value, then it's not a good investment, right?
Yes.
All right, keep your eye on that. It's okay to change your context and say, this is no longer an investment. This is just a safe place for us that we own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you're so young, you're probably going to be in this thing, what, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years?
I don't have a plan to ever sell it,
Okay.
unless the market's very high. I'm actually gonna buy a second home next year, and I'm gonna rent this one out. So
Really?
it'll be income. Yep.
Interesting. Have you walked me through the numbers?
So this house I got for 195. It is now worth at least 225. I got it last year. Actually, an identical home down the street from me just sold for 240. And the only difference is they did a little bit of updating in the kitchen, and they added a patio in the back. Something that I could probably do for definitely less than 10 grand.
Oh,
And,
easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. 10-year. Do you know what the 10-year on that was? So what did this house sell for 10 years ago?
I want to say, oh, it might have been somewhere between like 135 and 165. I'm not positive. I think the last time it sold was for 165, but that was only like 4 years ago.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you're already seeing on paper some appreciation. That's got to make you feel good. So
Mm-hmm.
even if it did take a 20% correction, you're still at net zero on it.
Yeah.
Less the interest that you're paying on the loan. Have you walked through the numbers on the loan? You understand how much at the end of your 30 years paying the note back, if you just follow
Mm-hmm.
the amortization schedule, how much
Right.
that house is really going to cost?
I mean, almost twice, almost double, which is
Right.
pretty standard.
So have you thought about any early payoff strategies? In other words, take a 30-year fix, turn it into a 15-year fix in your mind by adding an extra payment each.
By adding extra payments, yeah, that's something I'm considering. It's not something that I'm looking to do right away. Right now, I'm trying to build other investments,
Oh, sure.
mainly because the other thing about 30 years, a 30-year fixed mortgage is I'm going to be paying that back with future dollars. So I have inflation actually on my side.
Right.
So that's a big part of why I'm not in a rush to pay this down, especially when I'm going to have a renter move in and pay that mortgage for me.
It's a wonderful concept, and it sounds so cool and easy on a Zoom call.
Mm-hmm.
I was in property management and construction for years, and
Okay.
It's not that easy. And as a matter of fact, I'm sure that you're going to find through your financial investments, whether they be crypto or the existing legacy market, that you're going to have a lot less friction and a lot higher capital return on investment through those vehicles as opposed to real estate. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's problematic. You're depending upon other people. I don't know the neighborhood or the county or the city that you're in. You might live in that one out of 10 area that when renters come in, they hunker down for 3, 4, 5-year periods of time. They treat the place well. You might get lucky.
Right.
But you can't swing a dead cat in the real estate market without hearing the horror stories of this person didn't pay, or things kept getting damaged, or blah 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 blah. And the whole trick, in whether it be real estate, whether it be the legacy market or crypto, as much as it's important to have ROI, it's also equally important to understand that it's not how much you make, it's how much of what you make you keep. So if I make $500,000 a year on my investments, but I'm paying out $120,000 a year in either overhead or taxes or maintenance costs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a different investment that might only be making me $200,000 a year, but I'm net keeping 180,000 of it. You understand where I'm going with this?
Right.
So it's just run the numbers, and it's great to do these things ahead of time as opposed to picking the new house, moving in with the wife, launching this other thing and going, oh shit, I didn't see that. I didn't foresee that. I didn't account for that.
Mm-hmm. Was
it the right market to do it? You know, the market environment, that type of thing. So real estate is it's tricky. Just know that real estate's tricky. Ask people, read about it, learn about it, because it's not the golden goose that was so hyped up for so many years. The last 15, 20 years in the real estate market, it's been tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, especially depending upon your market, where you are, you know, that type of thing. So just look at it. Let's get into your other investments.
Okay.
What do you, so you have a job?
Sort of. I repair electronics and resell them online currently.
Oh, you're an entrepreneur.
I guess you could say that.
You're a hustler. You're making things happen. Does the wife have a steady income?
Yes.
Does she contribute to a 401k?
She does not have a 401k. She is contributing to an IRA.
What kind?
And a Roth IRA. And an HSA.
Okay.
As well.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, for folks your age, to not be participating in either a self-directed or a sponsored or affiliated Roth IRA should be criminal. But you'd be surprised how many people your age, Roth what? Mm-hmm. So good for you, because that, with the mechanism of compounding, assets that are solid, appreciating over time, to think that, you know, at the end of it, at 58 years old, when you're going to start drawing off of it, every dollar you draw out of it is yours. You're not taxed on it.
Right.
That is monstrous. Mm-hmm. If you forecast, you know, if you're going to do $6,000 a year or whatever you do.
Oh yeah, we're maxing that one out. Not sure what we decide. We've been talking about this a lot lately, actually. I don't think we're gonna max out the HSA yet.
Okay.
But we are gonna max out that IRA, and I'm gonna open an IRA, and we're gonna max that out as well.
Now, do you mind if I ask where the IRA is coming from? Who's custodian of your IRA? Who's what brokerage? What entity is actually facilitating it?
That I'm not positive.
Okay. Crypto assets available in that IRA?
No. We're thinking about doing an S&P index.
Okay. Hey, you know, I don't know if the same exact numbers will track going forward, but S&P over the last 30 has averaged 8% per year.
Yep.
And when you compound that, if you could get 20, 25 years out of it, for you it'd be 30 actually, 58 to 28, yeah, 30 years. Hello.
Right.
And the thing about the indexes, if you get the right indexes, you probably, you know, they have the lowest fee structure as far as any, you know, maintenance and administrative costs and crap like that that's associated. They're literally nothing. I mean, Tony Robbins was a big advocate for passive indexation. Just buy the index and let it go.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I get that. I totally get it. And especially over long time horizons, not a bad idea. So good for you. Just take a look at whoever's administrating it, understand their fee structure, understand what they're charging you to facilitate this for you. For instance, I have one with my Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab, one of the best brokers in the world, in my opinion, for a little guy like me. My IRA, my Roth IRA, although I do not have this incredible breadth of products available to me in the IRA. You know, like there's no crypto, there's a lot of things it doesn't have. What it does have, I have access to for free. So no maintenance fees on the account, no trading fees or commissions on the trades within the account. Well, that is incredible, right?
Yeah.
Because now my account, I don't have to overcome the fees before I get into profitability. I'm profitable at the at the asset level, not, I need 2% just to cover the fees before I'm profitable. I need 3.5% just to get to profitability on a year over year compounding basis. So take a look at that, because you can always switch, find one that works, one that's the best for you guys. But gosh, man, at 28 years old, Roth IRA, buying a house, entrepreneurial. We got to dive into crypto. Let's talk crypto. So lay it out for me. What's your thought, plan, thinking, and strategy around investing in cryptocurrency?
Well, right now is obviously an accumulation phase. I've been accumulating for almost a little over 3 years, actually. But an XRP, it'll be 3 years next month. And oddly enough, I'm at the exact same price point right now that I started at. Didn't sell during that bull run. But I've been accumulating. I never bought above, I don't think I ever bought above 90 cents. Most of it's been closer to 30 cents because I've rapidly increased the accumulation over the past several months, actually.
Which has been great price points for rapid accumulation. Are you very clear what your average cost per unit is?
I'm not, but I would say it's about 30 cents. Okay. It's got to be up there.
I think what a great point. I will in full disclosure, I've been accumulating XRP since February 1st, 2018, and my average cost right now is at 42 cents per unit.
Okay.
And I'd really like to get that down. God, I'd feel 18 again if I could get that sucker down to 30 cents. Every cent counts.
Yes.
When you're talking about the laws of big numbers, every penny in the asset price for me equals lots of money. So, get that down. Obviously, I'd like to get that down. Thoughts, feelings, concerns so I'm assuming XRP is your primary holding.
Oh, by far, it's probably 97% of my crypto portfolio. Yeah.
Wow.
It'll be more when it goes up because I'm not really buying other cryptos. I don't know.
Interesting.
I might buy some Ethereum. I'm not positive.
Interesting. I had the same philosophy. XRP was my really only holding for a while. Then I diversified. December 2018, when the whole market just kind of went. Bitcoin was at 3,500. XRP had dropped down to anywhere from 27 to 24 cents. It just seemed like the wind just went. It's like crypto got kicked in the nuts, right?
Yeah, and that's a little painful to think about because looking back, it obviously would have been the best investment to invest in Bitcoin at that point. But fundamentally, like I couldn't bring myself to do it. I remember thinking, it's like $3,000. That's insane. We haven't seen that in so long. But XRP shouldn't be at 20 something cents either. and you never know when it's going to take off. And obviously the profits to be made in XRP are going to be monumentally bigger than Bitcoin. Even if we see $100,000 plus Bitcoin, it's not gonna come close to what XRP is gonna do.
That's
So
only 10x.
that's why I haven't been able to bring myself to buy any. But I wish I had, because then I could move it into XRP right now.
Well, for a long time I had the same exact thinking. But I, since along the way, and this just me, this is not a suggestion, but
Mhm.
I keep going back to the value investor in me, and the value investor in me has criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, management team, use case, these fundamental things. Are they in debt? They're not in debt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? How much runway do they have? In other words, how much war chest, how much money do they have to execute their strategy?
Right.
How long can they do that?
Yeah.
And I want to own assets that pay me to own them regardless of the price of the underlying asset. So if the market says it's worth 25 cents today or 30 cents tomorrow or 19 cents next week, I want to receive a dividend or interest on it. Well, the crypto space has created some vehicles for us, whether if you have an asset that is only in what I call the capital appreciation column, which is Bitcoin's capital appreciation. Bitcoin will only go up and down in market price. It does not produce a product or another asset on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. I can lend it to I can lend it to Celsius. I can lend it to Nexo, but that means I have to trust a centralized third party to custody, hold that, pay me on time. So there's risks associated with that.
Yeah.
Is the reward worth the risk? Everybody has to answer those questions for themselves. But then I had dug deeper into the Cardano thing, because I saw what you saw in Ethereum: programmable money, i.e. smart contracts, which really aren't smart, but programmable money is going to revolutionize the way business is done on so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's smart. But I really got into Ethereum and I went, all the mechanisms aren't smart. It's super expensive to operate, clunky, slow. And reading about Cardano, I went, okay, this solves all those problems.
Yeah.
And they have governances in their proof of stake for even distribution. They have a well-funded, quote unquote, rewards war chest. I'm going to give that a shot. And so I did. And it finally came to fruition. The mainnet's on. They have staking pools. So I'm staking my Cardano, and I'm sure enough, every 5 days, I'm getting my asset allocation in the form of my rewards. It's Cardano. So the number of Cardano I own is increasing without me buying more.
Right.
Now, as the price goes down, that's kind of a big who cares, Jerry. But when the price goes up and you start applying the laws of big numbers and multiples, it is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was curious, have you looked into any of those kind of things for your XRP? Because XRP unto itself is nothing but a capital appreciation play. You need the underlying asset to go up for the value of your holdings to go up.
Yeah, I mean, having someone else custody my XRP is just not something that I'm comfortable with doing.
Okay.
I would rather be responsible for the keys. And I mean, at the rate that I'm accumulating, obviously that would be a big deal, but then there's a lot of trust that goes into that.
Sure. It's a question each and every one of us has to answer for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of friends in this community that have the same stance as you do. And I have a lot of friends that are using platforms like Nexo, Celsius, Cred Earn, things like that. And I always say, as long as you understand the risks,
Yep.
Is it okay for your 4% that you're getting, that if tomorrow they shut their doors and you don't have access to your crypto, are you okay with that? Oh yeah, I'm okay. Then fine, go ahead.
Right.
If you understand the risks and you're willing to take them for the reward that you're getting, good for you. This Cardano thing for me was just like the best of both worlds. I'm staking out of my own wallet, so I still own my keys. All the
Right.
assets are with me. I'm just pledging them to the proof of stake pools,
I see.
to these staking pools. And the staking pools are rewarding my wallets on an every 5-day basis because that's the interval of the epochs. It's like if I wished XRP did that,
Mm-hmm.
because it is just, to me, the most, as an investor, the most incredible thing in the world to own my crypto and earn more crypto within that wallet just by pledging.
We'll
And
get our Spark tokens in December. So
yeah,
that's
well, the Flare, the Spark tokens or something, that airdrop is wonderful, but it's not a reoccurring thing.
okay.
You know what I mean? Like at your age, amassing assets is huge because you have the luxury of time for appreciation to occur. I'm an old man, right? I mean, death is right around the corner for me. And so, you know, making something now is important to me. Maybe it's psychological.
Okay.
You know, maybe it's psychological that I'm, feeling that way. But like, I don't have the luxury of time that you have. You know, like in 30 years, you're going to be my age, and you're going to have another 25, 30 good years in you to enjoy what you've built.
Hope so. Yeah.
I was one of these guys like your friends that was concerned about the next iPhone, buying a car on credit, having a 90% mortgage on my house. And at the end of the day, it didn't get me anywhere, because when you do the numbers, you find that, it's the bank is the one making the money, not you. This person that generated a loan made the money, not me. My vehicle didn't appreciate to a point over the cost to carry the loan. My house did not appreciate over the cost to carry the loan. I was bummed because I thought too, oh, my house is an investment.
Right.
No, guess what? Your house is a place to live. Unless you've worked all the numbers and you know the cost to carry the loan is under the appreciation, and you're happy with whatever slice of actual profit you really made, less your capital gains, unless you do a stock or exchange for an like property or something. But you know what I mean? So between taxes and interest that you pay to carry the paper, these are important factors. And that's one of the things that I thought was probably one of the most important things to have in our conversation today, is because I don't think a lot of people are looking at those elements of the big picture when it comes to, I'm buying a home and it's this investment.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if you're telling me, yes, we're aware of these things, we've walked through the numbers, I'm like, yay, right on, Andrew.
The sad thing is how, like you're saying, everyone's taught to think that all they need to do for retirement is buy a house and invest in their 401k. They think that's the end of it. I think those are good supplemental investments. But if you're not investing beyond that, I mean, what's the maximum you can put into a 401k? Like 12,000?
No. I'm not sure. I know that the Roth IRA has a cap anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000, depending upon who you are, married or whatever the deal is. But 401ks are a completely different animal. Here are the things that nobody told me. because that was the formula I was given. Buy a house, have an investment thing with your business or your work.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's great if a company matches your 401k contributions. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
But if your 401k has a 4% per year combination of administration fees, management fees, because we love you fee, let's not forget about the fee that any day that ends in Y is a day that we can charge a fee for, right? I mean, these are real things. If you're
That's robbery.
sitting at your employer and they're
Yeah.
showing you their little T Rowe Price or whoever it is, pamphlets, these perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
read through the fee schedule.
Yeah.
Understand what the fees are for you
Yeah.
to have, most of the time, I'd say 85 to 90% of every one of these 401k facilitators, I'm talking about the T Rowe Prices and Vanguards and all these people,
Yeah.
their fees associated to managing these things are even higher than the contribution of your employer. So if your employer is matching up to 3%,
Mm-hmm.
right, for every 3 cents you put in, they'll put in 3 cents. If you put in 6 cents, they'll put in 3 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? So they max it at that. Most of these things have over 3% in fees. So all the contribution that your employer was giving you is wiped away, gone, and they start eating into your contributions on a yearly basis. So when you start running the math, it's the damn facilitator of the 401k that's making the money, not you.
Absolutely.
Really. So that's where all this self-directed stuff is wonderful. If you've got a Roth and a 401k or a regular IRA, let's say you have a regular IRA self-directed, a Roth self-directed, and you're managing it yourself through a brokerage like E-Trade or TD Ameritrade or Charles Schwab, which in the United States is so simple, so easy. You can do everything online. It is no big deal. Direct deposit from your bank account right into your brokerage, da-da-dee, da-da-do, done. Super easy. And save yourself 4% a year. Well, if you're talking about $12,000-$13,000, 4% of that, then you got to compound it. So you have to understand it's the value, not today.
Mm-hmm.
So what, Jerry? It's costing me $23 a month. All right. Why don't you take what the perspective says you're going to get at the end of 30 years, that number, following their 401k plan, and now you do the same exact dollar contribution that you would do with them, but you do it self-directed, run it through the compound interest calculator, you are going to see a massive difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, look, those are things, like, I didn't have you on the show to say, hey, you don't know what you're doing. You got to listen to me, da, 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 da. That wasn't at all. It was like, here's this young man. He's got this incredible stuff going. Let's talk. If I can add any value or an insight or an area to look into, then I can add value to your experience. And by you coming on my show and talking about this, you can add experience to a ton of people who are going to tune in and go, oh, okay, well, Andrew said he's doing this. These are the things Andrew talked about. This is the stuff Jerry talked about. And maybe when they go off and do what they're going to do, they have some more, they have some more bullets in the chamber, so to speak. They have some ammo to work with as they design their process.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know when I'm talking to younger people if I'm coming off as a know-it-all or condescending, or am I coming off as somebody who's trying to add value and give you things to think about?
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you tell me.
No, I think I didn't find you condescending at all. I appreciate you having me on and talking to me about this stuff. I recognize that you have much more, life experience than I have. You've been an adult longer than I've been alive. So you Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my baby just started crying.
Oh, and a new dad. Good for you. Well, I'll tell you, you know what's funny? This is what came to me when you were saying that, how much adult life I've had. The world I grew up in and kind of formed my world view of how things worked, how things were, were going to be, is completely different. In other words, you and I, although I got 30 years on you, you and I are in uncharted territory. In other words, I'm having to learn what's going on around me, just like you're having to learn about what's going on around you, because politically the world is so different than when I was growing up. Economically, the world is so different than when I was growing up. Financial instrument, like when I was growing up, there were no derivatives. You know what I mean? When I was growing up, the GDP of the United States was actually a metric of growth based on production of stuff. Things that we built, cars, roads, televisions, radios, whatever. Now we're in a world where our GDP is actually primarily the creation of debt. Wait a second. The wealth of our nation, or the measurement of our nation's financial health, is how much debt we can create? To me, that's a huge disconnect, but it is the way that it is. So we have, you and I, and all of the folks tuning in and watching these things, we have to discern for ourselves strategies and processes that will allow us to navigate in this weird place and actually profit. So we have to understand about real estate valuation, cost, what are the downs? Are we eating interest? Are we getting to write it off? We have to understand the fees and maintenance stuff associated with investment plans. We have to look at the tax liability of investments that we're self-directing ourselves to do, whether they be crypto or otherwise. You know what I mean? And there's no playbook. There's no book. And it's episodes like this and people like you and people like me that are actually putting out the information. I may not be right. Somebody may come and say, Jerry, hey, check this out. We found this. Oh, thank you so much. You've just enlightened me and added value. I can add that to my process or my thinking or whatever. Because they're not teaching us in school, right? You didn't get this in school.
No.
And so, I think that's great. What do you look at? Let's get away from that, because I just think you're a great guy. What are you looking forward to? Like, let's take a couple minutes and two guys having a beer and we'll speculate about our XRP investment. Where do you think this thing is really going, knowing what you know now, not why you got into it in the beginning, but where we are right now with what you see in the, ahead right now? How do you see this thing playing out next 5, 6, 7, 8 months?
I honestly have no idea about the short term. I kind of, to be honest, hope that not much changes in 6 months. I don't know if that's possible. But I would really like to accumulate. My goal is double or triple what I have right now in the next 12 months.
Quantity of tokens.
Yeah, but I don't think that's possible. But I can double or triple my US dollars invested. I want to have so much XRP that a very, very low XRP price puts me into millionaire status.
Okay.
So that I don't, so I can take big profits and not worry about what the rest does, knowing that whether it takes, 5 months, 5 years, 10 years, I'm going to have more money than I really know what to do with.
That's not a bad problem to have, right?
Right.
right? So hey, I tell you, I really, really respect and appreciate the fact that you came on the show. And knowing that you're in accumulation phase, I'll offer one last piece of advice.
Okay.
Now, because I don't know how much of this applies to you and how much it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
I have kind of created a context. I call it the investor mindset. And I think it's really great for younger people. You probably already have it a lot. And it's that mindset that, okay, I like coffee. Do I
Mm-hmm.
go out and buy Starbucks for $5, or do I make the 50 cent a cup at home type of thing? How can I utilize the capital I have today to benefit me tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
You've already demonstrated a ton of that. You said you didn't buy a car for a long time because it would have been overhead that couldn't go into the down payment of your house, the investment in your crypto project, or allocation to your wife's Roth IRA. Wow, you've got the investor mindset, right? But so when I say that, that's what I mean. And I hope you'll share that with other people your age, these things that you've learned and you've implemented, because that is the secret to success. You don't invest your money into depreciating stuff. Spend what you need
Mm-hmm.
to live your life.
Yep.
And take the rest and invest in a hard asset, something that's going to appreciate in value beyond the degradation of the landscape around you, i.e., what we call inflation. And just keep sharing. Those are the two pieces of advice. Be able to tell your friends about the investor mindset and talk about that, and share more in the communities. Like someday I'd like to have you on my live show some Friday night if you can make it happen between your schedule with the baby and your wife and all that kind of stuff. I know you're active on Twitter. Do you share or do any of these kind of stuff on Facebook or Instagram or any of that? Nah.
No, my Facebook is just for family.
Okay.
They don't want to hear about this stuff. They really don't understand it. I gave up a long time ago trying to explain these things to my parents and other family members, and also with family members who are closer to my age, like my siblings and cousins and stuff. I have accidentally, I think, made people feel a little jealous or resentful when I talk about finances, and get that kind of, oh, must be nice to be able to spend as little as you do and save as much as you do. And it's like, I never personally made more than $40,000 a year. Anyone can do this. I also do recognize that I am in a situation most people are not in.
What's that?
Yeah. Well, my wife makes at least twice what I make, and she gets a lot of commission and bonuses. So we really don't know what that's going to look like in the future. The second home that we're going to have is actually a situation I've never heard of anyone coming into before. Her grandmother is actually essentially gifting us a house if we pay off that mortgage.
The mortgage on the house that your grandma's going to gift you.
Yes.
Cool.
And it has 3 years left on that mortgage.
Oh my God.
So it's a matter of, do I want to pay that in full? Or do I want to, because I could do that, or do I want to, just pay what I have to and be mortgage free in 3 years and cut down our expenses by like another $1,500 a month?
Well, that's a simple sheet of paper, and just run the numbers. The numbers will direct you to what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you need the freedom because
Mm-hmm.
your margin's tight on the house that you're going to rent to somebody, then you do it. You pay off the stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have plenty of margin in the house that you're going to rent out to somebody, then what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And that's kind of my thinking, is like, if we did just pay it in full, then we don't have to worry about, if the renters don't pay us for whatever reason. That's what we used to pay. and we would just do that, take care of that situation instead of investing the extra money. But, you know, I mean, in general, though, I think that I think people are capable of saving far more than they realize. This might be too ambitious. We're trying to keep our grocery budget under $300 a month now, so that we can save even more. We're trying to cut expenses every which way, and I mean, so far, past couple of weeks, we're actually on target to do that, which we didn't think was possible. We were spending $700 a month on groceries.
This is you are defining the investor mindset. Like, I don't know how much you know about my story. I live in Costa Rica. I live on $350 a month.
Total?
On purpose. Total. That's the entire enchilada. That's my studio with electricity, garbage, water, cable, internet. That's my food. That's my transportation budget. I don't own a car. I will not own a car. I use the bus system. Occasionally when I'm feeling frothy, I'll get an Uber.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? I walk to the store for my shopping. I live in a barrio or a neighborhood that I have two what we would think is vegetable stands.
Mm-hmm.
They're called green grocers down here. I have two very well provisioned what they call mercados. They're like shopping markets. I got my butcher is walking distance where I can get fresh eggs, meat that from his land. You know, he raises the cows and the pigs on his property. The chicken guy, the chicken farm, he supplies my two stores that I can walk to, and he's just 4 miles away. Fresh eggs 3 times a week, fresh chicken 3 times a week. You know, I mean, I can literally keep my expenses down by not feeling I deserve or need to have those things that are truly luxuries that a lot of us in America grew up thinking were necessity.
Right.
Rites of passage. I'm an American. I should own a car. I'm an American. I should have a loan on my car. It's truly American to be in debt and have 3 Visa cards maxed that I'm only paying the minimum for, because that's the American way. Well, that's what I was raised with. That was my worldview through the 80s, was the Reagan administration saying, hey, go take out debt, expand your life, expand. Well, there's if there's certain ways to do it that you can do very well. Most of us don't. Most of us take on debt. We're slaves to debt. We're slaves to the stuff we have. But you know what? You can at any time unplug from all that and go, okay, here are my priorities. Most of us don't get there till we're later. You're doing it now at 28, you and your wife and your beautiful child. So my hat's off.
Thank you.
Tip of the cap. So let's wrap this bad boy up by saying thank you to everybody for tuning in. This has been Beyond Moon, our crypto wealth series. I am going to make sure that you have a link to Andrew's Twitter, which will be in the description of this video. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're finding value in this content. And tune in next time. Pure of it all.